Hey guys, Nike here. This is another tier list for the meta builds for profession. Like I said in my warrior tier list for Guild Wars 1 warrior builds, warrior has a lot of build variety, and not a lot of other professions at the meta level have that much build variety. But one that sort of comes closest is Dervish. So I thought I would go over the Dervish meta builds and discuss them and where I think they fall in the pecking order. So first up, the first one that we're going to do is Onslaught. So the way Onslaught works is it makes you gain adrenaline really fast, and attack really fast. So you basically charge up your adrenaline based skills. It is the most straightforward, easy to play Dervish build that there is. It requires the fewest button presses. Literally, you're just waiting for your adrenaline skills to light up, and you use them when they light up. And you make sure you have Onslaught up as much as possible. It is very straightforward, and it's decently powerful. It's not the most powerful on the list, though. And when you try to play optimally, it just won't compare to some of the other builds on this list. But again, simplicity is a quality. And as a result of that, I'm pretty comfortable putting Onslaught right in the B category because, it's right in the middle ground of easy to play, but not being overpowered compared to some of the other builds. So it's a B build. However, if you're just looking for a simple, easy to play build, I recommend it. Next up, Avatar of Balthazar. So Avatar of Balthazar is a very interesting build. It's the most unique build on the list. What you do with Avatar of Balthazar is you use teardown enchantments that when they are torn down, they make all the enemies around you get hit with some condition, whether it be bleed, cripple, blind, cracked armor, whatever it might be. And in addition to that, the Avatar of Balthazar elite skill makes when you lose an enchantment, all the enemies around you get burning. So to really make use of this, to make it actually good, because you really don't have much by way of boosting your damage baked into it. What makes it good is when you build your whole team around it and you have fragility mesmers, and you take advantage of the fact that you're just making conditions explode around you at all times. And so if you reorientate, two of your midline characters to condition spam mesmers, then it makes this build good. However, that's a pretty big sacrifice because going with two condition, illusion mesmers comes at a price. You're giving up a pretty big opportunity cost because energy surge domination mesmers are quite good. I don't think Avatar of Balthazar is particularly compelling. I think the build, it's interesting. It's a change of pace. But is it good? I would say it's not. If you really want to play something unique and different and go with a team comp that's outside the meta, then by all means give Avatar of Balthazar a try. But if you are, just trying to plug and play one of these Dervish builds into, the standard Mesmer way team, then Avatar of Balthazar is not going to be a particularly effective build for you. And I'll put that down in D tier because, it has, to put it in reference, we were talking in the warrior build tier list that just including one skill, Withering Aura, in your team comp somewhere was a pretty significant build around cost. And when you consider that that's just one skill on one hero, and that's an impactful build around cost. The build around cost of Avatar of Balthazar is just absolutely enormous, and as a result of that, I can't recommend it. However, I don't want to make it seem like it's completely awful by putting it in D tier. It just requires significant build around. So yeah, so that's just where it's gonna be. Next up, we have, let's go with Vow of Strength. Vow of Strength is a classic build that is used, a variant of it is used, for general PvE, but also for speed clears. Obviously, the skills that you're going to bring to support it and play with it are a little bit different in each, but essentially what Vow of Strength is a far superior version of 100 Blades for Warrior. It's superior in that it's an enchantment, so you can boost its duration by 20%, but also it has, synergies with other Dervish things. It's just a really, really good skill. You can get some of the, if you can ball the enemies up, you can get some of the biggest, most impressive spikes of damage that you've ever seen in general play. And it is just super, super strong. And when played well, it's one of the most powerful builds in the game. So as a result of that, I can, without reservation, put it in S tier. Very, very good. And there's several different ways to build it. It has, within Vow of Strength, it has a lot of build variety. You can really go with the Mirage armor, Mirage cloak, and be like very tanky, very self-sufficient, where, or you can just play a more standard damage version, or you can play more for spikes, where you bring Ebb and Battle Standard of Honor, or you can just ignore that and play it just for general PvE. It's just so good. Next up, Zealous Vow. Zealous Vow is for the dagger build on Dervish. If you wanted to play dagger spam Dervish, you would play Zealous Vow. Quite frankly, I don't know why you would play dagger spam on a Dervish. Scythe is very, 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 very good, and Dervish has multiple builds. Every build we've talked about so far uses Scythe. This is the only non-Scythe build on the entire list. Zealous Vow, dagger spam, it's a strong build. It is a very strong build, in fact, but it's not as strong as some of the other Scythe options, and so you really have to be the certain type of player that loves Dervish but hates Scythe, which I think is a pretty narrow slot to be in. And as a result of that, I can't really in good conscience recommend it. I'm going to put it in B. I will say it's a more powerful build than Onslaught, even if, flavorfully it's not quite there. So I will put it a little bit, I'll put it ahead of Onslaught, but it's going to be solidly in B. All right, next up, we're going to do Avatar of Lissa. So Avatar of Lissa is very cool. It makes your attacks do chaos damage, which has a little bit of synergies, but that's not really the main reason that you use it. When it also has the ability, when you lose a Dervish enchant, so when you tear down one of your enchants, all your enemies around you lose 1 energy. Again, that's not really why we use it. That doesn't really have much of an effect in PvE. What we use it for is the fact that it has this amazing line of text that says, your Dervish enchantments recharge 50% faster, which means you can absolutely spam your Dervish enchantments and teardown. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to turn on Avatar of Lissa, you're going to put on your Aura of Holy Might, and you are just going to, enchantment, tear it down, enchantment, tear it down, enchantment, tear it down, and just that is going to be your play cycle as fast as you can press the buttons. And what that's going to do is it's going to proc Aura of Holy Might a lot, and it is going to do a pretty significant amount of damage. Now, that sort of plays, without getting ahead of ourselves, the way Pious Renewal plays. So why would you play Avatar of Lissa? Well, Avatar of Lissa is, a slightly different play style. You get to use slightly different skills. It's a little bit more off meta. And if you like the aesthetic of transforming into a giant god in the shape of Lissa, and smashing your enemies with a giant scythe, maybe you will prefer the Avatar of Lissa build. Again, you use slightly different skills than the Pious Renewal build, and it has a slightly different playstyle, even if your main damage engine is a little bit different. For Avatar of Lissa, you are going to do a higher percentage of your damage from the Aura of Holy Might compared to Pious Renewal, but overall they are relatively similar in that they're both trying to push Aura of Holy Might out. Avatar of Lissa, it's going to come down to whether or not you like the aesthetic and you like the sort of frenetic playstyle of, you know, smashing your Dervish and, you know, flash enchants as soon as they're off cooldown, followed by a teardown, and going enchantment teardown, enchantment teardown. If that suits you and the aesthetic of transforming into a giant god suits you, then Avatar of Lissa might be the build for you. I do think it's better than Onslaught. I think it's better than Zealous Vow, but it is not as good as Vow of Strength, so it will go in the A tier. And then lastly, we have Pious Renewal. Pious Renewal has often been seen as the alternative to Vow of Strength, where Vow of Strength is a, you know, speed clear sort of a skill that is more popular in speed clears because you know, you can really perfectly ball up the enemies and just do huge spikes and just instantly kill entire packs. In general PvE, you know, doing vanquishes, doing hard mode missions, doing, you know, hard mode dungeons with your heroes, Vow of Strength can't do that as well, and as a result, a lot of people have come to Pious Renewal to get a build that's more suited for general PvE. Now, I don't want to make it a huge difference between the two. For general PvE, doing vanquishes and stuff, Vow of Strength is still very, very good. Pious Renewal is, however, slightly better than that. And this is a completely personal, subjective opinion. I think the Pious Renewal playstyle is more fun. Essentially, the way Pious Renewal works is when it ends, you gain energy. And since you have mysticism very high, you gain more energy back when it ends than you spent to cast it. So it is essentially your energy management skill, and it's an enchantment. So what you're going to do is you're going to use Pious Renewal as a feeder enchantment to power all your teardown skills. And Pious Renewal, when it ends, if you tear it down, it has like instant refresh cooldown, so you can use it as much as you want. So the way it'll play is you put on your Aura of Holy Might, then you put your Pious Renewal on top of it, and then you go teardown skill, Pious Renewal, teardown skill, Pious Renewal, teardown skill, Pious Renewal, and you're using the hardest hitting, heaviest skills that the Dervish has access to. So it is very, very good in that regard. It is not as good as Vow of Strength when it comes to, you know, just big screen clearing spikes, but for, you know, sustained damage against a single target, it's higher than Vow of Strength. And for you know, just general running around in PvE, I think it is, you know, probably it's comparable in the hands of a good player to Vow of Strength. And quite frankly, in my opinion, it is a more fun play style, but that is up to you. I have a lot of experience in, you know, Guild Wars 2, where PvE builds tend to be much higher APM, and Pious Renewal feels sort of like a Guild Wars 2 build. In fact, Pious Renewal, the build I would compare Pious Renewal to in Guild Wars 2 is Axe Berserker, where with Axe Berserker, you quickly gain adrenaline and then you use Decapitate every third skill. Whereas Pious Renewal, you use Pious Renewal every other skill, but it has a similar, you know, rhythm where it's, you know, feeder skill payoff, feeder skill payoff, feeder skill payoff, and it plays very much like that. So if you like the way Axe Berserker plays in Guild Wars 2 PvE, you will probably like Pious Renewal. I'm going to put Pious Renewal in S tier, and where you put it ahead of Vow of Strength. I think power level wise, they are equal for general PvE. For speed clears, Vow of Strength is ahead. For general PvE, I would say they are equal in power level, and it is up to you to determine which one you like the playstyle of more. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on the PvE, good Dervish builds for general PvE. There are some Dervish healing builds that are apparently decent. I've never actually played them. I wouldn't, as a player character, play a healer with heroes. I think that would be the most boring thing I could imagine. So I'm not going to even bother trying, and I'm not going to rank them because when I play the game, I'm the main character. I am not going to be the healer for Koss or whoever who is going to become the main character. That is not me. Anyway, guys, that's it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you are a experienced Dervish player and you have thoughts on my tier list, I'm sure you will let me know in the comments down below. And anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.